Hey guys! We were students of Japanese School of Milan. Yes, we were Japanese teenagers living in Milan, Italy. Yes, Milan is a place of fashionable people and soccer fans. Besides, it was the site of the UN Pre-COP 26 in 2021. We were honored to hold one of the Pre-COP 26 events here at our school. Our topic was Minamata disease. We wanted to tell the world one of Japan's four major pollution diseases and its current status.
Do you know the film Minamata? It is about Eugene Smith, an American legendary photojournalist who stood up for Minamata disease patients in a small fishing village. You may have seen his picture at least once in your life. He was such a great and internationally recognized photographer, and the famous Hollywood star Johnny Depp played Eugene in the movie. Probably you know him better as cool pirate in the sea, but this time he removed any aura of his usual good looks and played this great photographer. In fact, Johnny Depp himself professed to be Eugene's fan.
The film Minamata was absolutely heartbreaking. We thought Eugene's courage was extraordinary, but we also had mixed feelings about this film. This was a movie about an American who had stood up for Japan's pollution, made by an American director.
Why can't we do something as Japanese for the problem of Minamata disease that is still going on? Then we decided to make a presentation on Minamata disease at the Pre-COP 26 event. One of the people who helped our presentation was Hiromi Shiota. Hiromi's late husband Takeshi was a person who supported Eugene Smith's life in Minamata, and he was a wonderful photographer himself.
So this video is actually another version of the film Minamata, and the main character is a photographer, Takeshi Shiota.
In post-war Japan, pollution was rampant, and Minamata disease in Kumamoto Prefecture was one of them. It was caused by wastewater containing toxic methyl mercury discharged into the sea from a nearby chisel factory. A number of people died or suffered disabilities during their lifetime.
Since lots of local citizens were employees of the chisel factory, many couldn't speak up about the disease. Some even raised their children with Minamata disease in their closet to avoid people's eyes. As a result, people outside Minamata gathered in Minamata and struggled to solve this problem. The main character in this video, Takeshi Shiota, is one of them. Takeshi was born on April 15, 1945 in Kagawa Prefecture, as the son of the carpenter. His family was so poor that they couldn't even afford his shoes for a field trip. But in junior high school, his talent for baseball put him in the spotlight for the first time in his life. However, looking at the players who had been beaten by him, Takeshi realized happiness was based on the misfortune of others. He was a kind-hearted boy who never forgot those in the shadows, even when he was in the center stage, wasn't he?
He chose a high school famous for baseball, but his shoulder injury prevented him from playing baseball any longer. His star life was over after only a few years. Then, Takeshi joined a newspaper club where he discovered social issues and the fascination of photography.
After high school, he once got a job in Osaka, but he eventually decided to make money through a part-time job to study sociology at a university in Tokyo.
At the university, he joined a circle to study Marxism, but he questioned the empty theories of students who had never worked themselves. He felt the disconnect between his peers, who spoke eloquently like politicians, and his own life of pushing a bicycle through the snowy street to deliver milk at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Takeshi then joined a photography club. Looking through the viewfinder, he felt he could see the contradictions in society. He felt that he could grasp something by making them into his own works of art.
Takeshi saved up money, bought his first camera and went to Okinawa. He saw that Japan's political problems were concentrated in Okinawa. However, due to his lack of study, he was at a loss to understand the real Okinawa problem.
On the way back home, he stopped in Minamata. Since before going to Okinawa, Takeshi had come across a newspaper article about Tanaka, a fetal Minamata disease patient.
In Minamata,
Takeshi was first surprised by the poverty of local people and their timid attitude. Fearing strangers, then he met Tanaka, a 13-year-old boy who weighed only 13 kilograms. He did not even seem human. His skinny body was just rolling around on the floor, making noises that were not words. He was also blind and couldn't close his mouth.
Takeshi was too shocked to take any pictures of Tanaka and return to Tokyo. However, he desperately wanted to return to Minamata to take Tanaka's picture, so he worked day and night to save money.
The era was the midst of the student movement, and although he could not directly join the violent protests, he took photographs to support the students.
The next year, Takeshi finally went to Minamata to meet Tanaka again. As Takeshi took Tanaka's pictures, he could tell through the viewfinder that the boy was making various facial expressions. However, Takeshi's hands couldn't stop trembling. That night, Takeshi was tormented by the thought, was it right to take those pictures?
Takeshi's experience at that time made him decide to study harder to take photographs. He returned to Okinawa the following year to take more photographs. One of those photos was published in a magazine. The same year, he heard of Tanaka's death. Takeshi decided to continue taking photographs for the rest of his life.
While wondering about the future after college, Takeshi received a call from a newspaper company asking him to take pictures of Minamata and Minamata disease patients. His photos were a big success. One even became the cover of the magazine. Michiko Ishimure, a famous book writer in Minamata, said to him, "I want you to continue taking pictures of Minamata patients because everybody is dying." Takeshi made his mind to move to Minamata.
Takeshi quickly integrated into life with the pure and simple people of Minamata. A few years after moving to Minamata, Takeshi accidentally met a woman in a workshop. Her name was Hiromi, who later became his wife. Don't you think they were completely destined to meet?
After marrying, they spent their lives in Minamata, taking photographs and growing vegetables in the fields. They were not wealthy, but they lived a modest and happy life.
People of Minamata basically hesitated to have pictures of their illness taken. However, Takeshi's sincere and gentle personality opened people's hearts, especially children with fetal disease. Their parents gradually let him take pictures of their children as if he had been their best friend. In fact, Takeshi's photos are full of warmth. At the same time, however, he continued to struggle with conscience that he felt like taking advantage of the friendship of these children to take the photos and sell them.
In fact, in the tiny fishing bread, there were voices on both sides recording Takeshi.
Takeshi is such a great person. He abandoned the things to join the Red Cross after graduating from university in Tokyo and decided to be in the group of Minamata patients.
A lot of people have come here from Tokyo, but I haven't seen anyone who keeps his passion for such a long time.
He seems to be supporting Minamata disease patients, but the reality is he is just hanging out taking photos. Such an easy life.
He is making a profit by taking those pictures. He eventually can become a photographer. After all, he is only preying on the patients.
Takeshi thought that all these words were true. He took pictures of the pure-eyed fetal disease children who loved him, and sold these photos to newspapers and magazines. He continued to struggle with the fact.
There was a family of a patient with fetal Minamata disease called Tomoko Kamimura. The family sometimes had meals together with Takeshi and Hiromi. One day, when Hiromi visited the family, she heard Tomoko's beast-like voice shouting at the entrance. When Hiromi was stunned and afraid that something had gone wrong, Tomoko's young brother came and said to her,
Tomoko is happy because you are here.
I was impressed. I didn't understand at all what Tomoko was trying to say, but the family member who had spent all the time with her could understand what she was saying.
In Minamata, where many photographers gathered and sent out a lot of information and messages, the conflict between Chiso Company and the patient was gaining momentum. Meanwhile, an American landed in Minamata.
His name was W. Eugene Smith. He was the world-famous war photographer for the magazine Life. Takeshi and Hiromi guided Eugene Smith and his wife Eileen around Minamata, and they became very good friends.
Once a world-famous photographer Eugene said about Takeshi, his photos will be even better than mine if we plan them more properly. Thanks to the effort of Eugene Smith and others who stood up like Takeshi, the tragedy of Minamata disease gradually started to get known to the world. Some of the patients appear to have been recognized and compensation was paid as well. However, there are still many cases suspended and people still suffering in silence.
Takeshi passed away on September 30, 2014, but Hiromi is still working for victims of Minamata disease, including fetal patients.
Hiromi talks about Takeshi, who continued to take pictures among gratitude and criticism like this.
Seeing my husband, I thought it was wonderful to take picture of Minamata disease. People who are oppressed, discriminated against, and in a vulnerable position to inform society of the reality with his photographs. I could sympathize with his way of life to be on the side of the vulnerable. I also wanted to live like him. Minamata disease tells the world how environmental destruction affects living human beings. Also, it tells us how the damage will spread if the national and prefectural governments do not take proper measures. Only by acting, you can prevent damage. In order to convey Minamata disease to the younger generation in the future, it is important to know, feel, think, and act on the environment.
This is where Takeshi's story ends. But allow me to introduce the work of Michiko Ishimure, a famous female writer who encouraged the young Takeshi. We introduced her picture book, The Voice of the Minamata Tree, in our presentation at Precop 26. Please read the link below if you are interested.
In this book, she focuses on not only people but also nature and animals suffering from Minamata disease. It depicts how the once beautiful village of Minamata has been destroyed since the factory has been built. The first to notice something strange were various substrates of nature, such as mountains and the sea. The second were fish and animals. They died one by one, wondering why. And the next were human babies, and then human adults.
However, you would be amazed at the last scenes, where all the souls of not only humans but animals and nature go up to heaven together. It gives us the sense of our all being connected together.
In lastly, let us introduce the Japanese word moyai. Moyai is a morning group used to tie ships together. The idea of rebuilding the bonds between citizens who were separated by discrimination and lost with this moyai has made possible the beautiful Minamata of today.
Minamata disease is a problem in which the historical background, corporate interests, and the development of the city that accompanies it are intricately intertwined, and so it cannot be easily defined who is completely right and wrong. That might be why many people outside of Minamata get interested and attracted to the Minamata problem to fight for local people. How attractive those people themselves who come to fight for those suffering in silence. We sometimes hear, study of Minamata disease often draws people to the point where they change their life. But probably we are attracted to the strong unconditional love that Shiota or Eugene who rushed to Minamata from afar, had continued manifesting to the war rather than the disease itself. Why don't you try to find out about Minamata disease yourself?